Well, the Jacksonville Symphony's season is underway with some Mozart and Tchaikovsky queued up for the adults this weekend. But the organization is also refreshing its youth education and outreach programs. Here to tell us about the upcoming Children's Music Festival is Steve Libman, the Symphony's president and CEO. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you back, Stephen. And Dr. Marianne Rice, vice president of music education and community impact. Good morning, Dr. Rice.
Good morning. Thank you.
So you oversee youth education and outreach for the Symphony, Dr. Rice. What do we know about how classical music impacts and can impact a child's brain development?
Well, classical music involves just getting students energized, building vocabulary, connecting math skills, social emotional learning, and it's just a all-inclusive growth mindset of creating a positive environment for students.
Mm-hmm. And we often hear about, people who are pregnant sort of listening to classical music in utero and,
Yes.
doing that because they understand that it can be good
Right,
for the
right.
growth. And, but I mean, after a child is born, there has been some research showing, some very specific and tangible benefits, including MRIs that show,
Right.
how a child's brain can change. But also, helping kids take tests better, focus on homework, become less emotionally, volatile, perhaps. So, do you, in your programming and in your outreach, do you kind of communicate that with the adults in the room about ways that it can actually have a good impact on their kids?
Yes. I know for me as a mother, I grew up listening to music, and my children, when I had my children, constantly played music, and you can tell when you listen to music, it brings those endorphins. It makes peaceful time, and also makes children happy. It makes adults happy. So it's just everything about music entices and brings a positive environment of what we're learning, of how we feel. I myself listen to music based on how I'm feeling.
Mm.
If I'm happy, I may put on some Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Well, I guess it make you happier.
It makes me happy, yes, if I want to sing a song. So I just think music itself, and of course classical music, it encompasses everything about our social, emotional well-being,
Mhm.
and it creates a positive environment for us to thrive.
Stephen, listening to classical music is one thing. What is the difference when it comes to seeing it performed live, or in some cases, just being able to get some hands-on to instruments and to have an understanding of how they work and how they make music?
Sure. Thanks, Ann. Great question. I think when you're in the concert hall itself, the experience is transformational. And it is the difference between, say, reading a play and actually going to the theater and experiencing the raw emotional power. And the same thing happens with listening to classical music or jazz or Earth, Wind, and Fire. If you're one of our students or any member of the community who's younger, and you're in the audience, you are just watching these incredibly talented artists take pieces of wood and brass and transform that into magical sounds. And it does increase endorphins. I think it creates this. It not only is a transformational experience that's created, but it's something that you will remember and take with you for the rest of your life. I can remember certain moments, whether it was theater or dance or music, when I was just not only transformed, but it made a lasting impression on me. With our students in the Jacksonville Symphony Youth Orchestra, they not only learn everything Dr. Rice was referencing, but we teach them life-enhancing skills. They learn collaboration, cooperation, practice, show up on time, self-discipline, and those carry them through the rest of their life. So we're confident that helps. And I think we're now reaching, 60,000 students a year?
Mhm.
So we are positively impacting 60,000 young lives every year.
How does that play into just the overall goals of the symphony? I mean, why is it important? Why do you care about whether kids are listening to, getting engaged in classical music?
That's a great question. We care because we feel a responsibility to introduce the joy of this great music to the youth of this region, and some of them may enroll in our school at the Jacksonville Symphony Youth Orchestra, and some of those, a small percentage, will go on to a career in professional music, which is great. Most of them won't, but they will become lifelong fans of this great art. So one of the reasons we do it is to create new patrons going forward. It used to be when I was in school that the public schools did that. When I was in school, a little older, every classroom had a piano. That's not the case now. So we, the Jacksonville Symphony, sort of have taken over that responsibility. And by introducing the joy of classical music and all music to students, we create lifelong patrons. And I know that it works. I'm an example of how an education program can create a lifelong enjoyment in the arts. When I was growing up in Rhode Island, a theater company there called the Trinity Repertory Company created a youth education program called Project Discovery. And when I was in ninth grade through 12th grade, we saw every play that this theater company produced. Every single play. We were bused there to see it. And I can tell you that had a huge, transformational experience for me, because then I then went on to a career in the arts. But they've done research, as we have done research, that shows a significant percentage of these patrons do go on to support the arts in the future.
Yeah. And you talked about the youth orchestra. So that is one initiative of the symphony. And that is, for students who are musicians and they're taking lessons and they're, honing their skills. The music festival that's upcoming next weekend is more focused on a broader audience. You don't necessarily have to have a musical background. In fact, you're urging kids as young as 6 to
As
come
young
to
as
this.
6. No, this is a family event for children between the ages of 6 and up to 12 years old, but parents. It's a time for families to come and relax and enjoy the symphony and have an interactive experience. You start with the symphony with Vivaldi's Ring of Mystery, a fantastic concert. And then once the concert is over, students have this opportunity to interact, conduct a small ensemble. Our professional musicians, we have arts and crafts, we have rainmaking, we have mask making, we have students have the opportunity to play recorders, to do free play. They can play on our string instruments. So it's a interactive event for everyone. And we also have free tickets for military families. So they can come and enjoy.
And this Vivaldi performance, the Ring of Mystery, it is, in some ways kind of a good entry level, because it's not just music. It is a theater production. There's a story about a young girl. And so in some ways, while it introduces many, many pieces of Vivaldi's, classics that people will recognize, it is also something that is maybe more accessible.
It is. And I like to think of, as a former educator myself, so I like to think of recreating an environment that will enable students to get involved through all their senses. So they get to hear it, they get to see it, they get to interact with the acting, and they get to be a part of it. And then they have those tactile experiences of making the arts and crafts, the tactile experience of picking up a violin and trying to play it, learning the first strings, or then they have the experience of picking up that recorder. What does that sound like? So it's all inclusive, creating a sensory environment for all students. And I think that's wonderful.
Your musicians with the symphony also, especially with the youth orchestra, but they do participate in some of these youth events.
They do.
What does it bring to them to kind of have that opportunity to teach and interact with young people?
I know they tell me it brings them great joy. Last year, when Dr. Rice created this opportunity after the concert for young people to get up and conduct some of our musicians, what a magical experience. I mean, there they were in front of these musicians. And the musicians told me later they absolutely loved that opportunity, because they knew that there was that magic moment taking place between this 6-year-old and these musicians. And they were conducting, musicians were playing, and the students came away thinking, wow, look at what I accomplished. But the musicians, they understand how important it is to create this connection with young people. And I really applaud our musicians for deeply understanding it and wanting to participate with Dr. Rice at the big music festival that she created. This was her idea.
Oh, is that right?
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of. So the music festival is on October 26th at 3 p.m.
Yes.
And that is the event that is, kind of open to all. The youth orchestra is something that children audition for. And then they have these scheduled performances, including like a holiday concert that they put together. And, they then are visible to the community, certainly to their parents. But how does that impact young audiences? Is that something that they also enjoy seeing, just younger people doing this kind of performance?
I think so.
I think so as well, yes.
They bring their families there. And for the Jacksonville Symphony Youth Orchestra, the audience is primarily their families. But the pride that these family members have for their children on stage, and the sense of confidence that these students have, because when they begin their journey, they may not be that confident, but by the time it comes to performance, and we take the performance very, very seriously, they follow the same rules on stage that our musicians follow, and they are disciplined. And just to watch these young students, whether they're 6 years old,
6 years
or
old,
teenagers, they go through that process, and it's again, their families love it, they cheer them on, and the students love it.
This event that's coming up is affordable. It's $10 for adults,
And
for many people, and $7 for kids. But you also have some, sponsorship and scholarships available for people who might not be able to afford general symphony performances.
Right. It's sponsored. Our title sponsor is Mayo, and then we also have additional sponsoring by AT&T, and we are offering up to 4 free tickets for military families to attend, as well as free parking for our military families. So this is also a way for us to connect to the greater community.
Yeah. Well, it's great work that you guys are doing. Thank you for coming on today to tell us about it.
Thank you so much.
Stephen Libman, Dr. Marianne Rice.